All right. I think that we are live.
Oh, we are live.
Yay. Well, first of all, I want to say welcome to you. This is Christiane Ebert, and she is an expert and Pilates instructor. Oh my gosh, I have to turn off. Okay, great. Let's get rid of that echo from the feedback. Oh, technology. But Christiane is here today because she is a Pilates instructor and a coach that helps people to process some things that are going on within them and using Pilates as a forum to do just that. So, Christiane, would you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Okay, so I'm a Pilates instructor and with a background in nursing, breastfeeding coaching, fashion designing, and Pilates. I think I taught every fitness craze on the market, or whatever Virgin Active had to offer, and at one stage in the last 25 years. And I come from a background very adrenaline driven exercise form. So for me, Pilates was punishment. I honestly thought it was punishment because when I have severe back pain from some of them through from nursing and abusing my body through high impact exercises all the time, and apart from actually being in a domestic violent relationship and being beaten several times into my back, and which caused some of the problems. And so my physiotherapist of 15 years eventually said to me, because if you don't want to have a backup, you actually have to really do something about it, and you should go to Pilates. And the wonderful word of should, right? Because if the word should comes in it, we're all digging our heels in like donkeys and saying, and so it was with me. Someone said to me, you should be doing this. It's the same as you can't do that. You can't be running, but you should be going to Pilates. So that did the trick already at the beginning. So I arrived at this Pilates class and I thought it was the most horrific thing on earth. Honestly, I was so bored that a teacher was horrific. He didn't care at all if I had back pain or not. He just showed me to shove a mat underneath my back. And half through the class, I walked out. And that meant a lot for me because I'm not that kind of person. I rather be loyal and quiet than actually walking out. But I thought, this is it. I will never do it again. And 2 years later, I went through a separation and had to stand on my own feet. And it's sort of not many exercise. I didn't want to go back into only into fashion design out of several reasons. So I would have liked to stay in the fitness industry, but to do that on your own, you have to have quite a big build-up normally. And I also didn't want to go with at that stage 5-year-old running in and out of the gym all day long. So I needed to do something what I could do from home and probably parallel to the fashion design. And so I decided. I had my nails done. That were the times when I had my nails done regularly, and and the lady was talking on the phone, and it came out that she was the boss or the owner of a company who was training Pilates instructors. And it sounded so good how she talked to a prospective student that I said to her, what are you actually doing? And so we became friends and so on. And to cut a long story short, I signed up for the course. And the 6 months course, I had the opportunity to do it on a one-on-one basis. It took me a year. And also because I had severe back problems in there, we had to tailor the course around so that I could go in between to the physio and to the chiropractor and do some things. So it was actually extremely valuable, my back pain, because it taught me and it brought me back to my nursing trainings where my nursing teacher always said, she says, you cannot experience something or feel empathy towards your clients if you haven't experienced it yourself. And it often comes the thought to me, maybe that's why the universe created my life like this, so that I can stand here now and have enough empathy for all my clients. And so it is actually really true. I needed that. It was such an eye-opener for me to go through Pilates with the vision, not only with a vision, because what I have learned in theory, but also I can now teach and I can feel what it feels like. Even if your body's all right, I will correct you. I teach all my classes through Zoom, but I will correct you in the state that I can say, this is going to make your back sore, because I can feel it. And so it has grown, and I started teaching in-house, and then COVID came. And before COVID, okay, I had a lot of clients who were traveling either for holiday or for business, and asked then for Zoom links if they could join the class. So I was way a year ahead before COVID that I already had Zoom links to all my classes. And I taught classes in-house and with a Zoom link to it. So that was quite a challenge. Then COVID came, and everybody shut down, and I could teach online. So that was quite amazing. Then 11 months ago, I moved to the UK. So some of my South African clients came back with me. No, they didn't. They stayed in the SA, but via Zoom, they're still with me. And also some of my life coaching clients. And so now I'm building the similar business up here, but from scratch. And it's a very different way of building it up in the UK as you do in South Africa. In South Africa, I was doing it having an in-house studio and just teaching to the clients I have on Zoom. So there was no building or anything like this. And it wasn't my most important thing. I was building my life coaching, but the Pilates grew organically because by word of mouth or anything like this. I didn't actually had to do much because I had enough clients to do word by mouth, which I didn't have when I came to the UK. And so slowly but surely, it's also building trust and getting new people in, but also learning to network online, like talking to you, and actually talking to people all over the world. I think I find that more fascinating. I'm not sure if that is because I just love talking to people, and so it's not always because I have the chance to make new clients out of it. I just generally want to connect to people, and that's actually me. So my clients come to me for Pilates, and for the people who don't know Pilates is not yoga. And it's very different to yoga. Yoga is a lot about flexibility and stretching and holding poses and static positions and whatsoever and so on, while Pilates is strength and stretch training, training your stabilizers, which you generally don't train enough. You also train your mobilizers, which are your big muscles, like your bum, your thighs, your stomach muscles, and so on. But your core consists out of so many more muscles, and this teaches your brain to use your muscles on demand, and actually teaching you to have this brain, so also mind, really brain muscle connection. When I say to my clients, release your left glute, they can do that eventually. And that is actually quite something, because you always have a stronger side and a weaker side. So you want to, on purpose, create different muscle groups with your mind by saying, okay, your brain is firing all the time and telling you what to do, but you have to learn it. It is not something which comes natural, nor does the Pilates breathing, which helps incredibly. So there are so many different advantages through Pilates, from concentration to focus, stability, balance, flexibility, strength. I mean, I taught Olympic athletes and people who could hardly walk. So because they had so many back problems or knee problems or hip problems. So I have a wide, and children, I have children as well. No, not in the moment, but I had them in South Africa. And actually started with a 3-year-old. And you have to be quite creative to have a 3-year-old because they're very much harder to teach.
Yeah.
And but I'm passionate about it. I'm really passionate about it. And what happens often is that, and I will offer some what I call power hours XXL. I will bring out classes. I will put them and start advertising them next week, where I will sell 2-hour slots, where people coming with a specific theme. It's a one-on-one session. For example, somebody has constant niggling lower back pain, no apparent reason, or something like that, and it's just not going away, but it can drive you nuts. It can really drive you nuts. It can grind you down if you're constantly sitting in your chair and your back is sore and you're moving about and you can't sleep at night, or your hip is sore when you're sleeping, or you wake up in the morning, your neck is like this. It's not necessary. There's actually absolutely not necessary to have any pain in your body whatsoever, unless there's really serious skeletal pathology or something like this. Then it's a different story, but then we can still do something about it to make it better, but I probably can't take it away totally. And so in those power hours, we will do a 45-minute Pilates class addressing all the issues which you like to have addressed and whatever it is all about. And then we're going in, grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, depending what time of day it is. And we're going to sit for another hour or so afterwards. And I will answer all your questions of how you can probably help with nutrition or with movement, and why you're doing certain exercises, because I strongly believe that people need to have explained why you're doing something. If somebody says to me, I have to do it and I don't know why, I either forget it or I can't be bothered. I will do it a bit, and once it feels a little bit better, I give up. But when I really understand that I have to do it, then I will carry on. And also going into the psychosomatic, into the emotional side of it, because that goes both ways. Because if you have pain, which is grinding you down, you can getting easily depressed, anxiety, your whole mood changes and so on. So we have to address it from that side so that we can catch that before that goes into a downward spiral. Or it is actually that certain traumas in your past have created a certain amount of anxiety and depression, which will always physically go towards the weakest, to say it in easy terms, towards the weakest part in your body. For some people, it's their stomach. For some people, it's their back. For some people, it's a woman, their reproductive organs. Some people, it's the knees, and so on. So where in that hour, we're trying then to find out where does that all fit in? How does it all work? Or somebody might just come with weight loss issues. Weight loss issues, for example, are never just straightforward weight loss issues. Otherwise, we all would be losing weight because we just all eat a little bit less, right?
We'd all be fit all the time.
Exactly. But there's a lot of emotions behind it. There's a lot of thought push against it. I have a client in the moment, and she said, I don't really want to lose weight, but she's over 25 kilos overweight. And she knows that she doesn't want to be like that, but she doesn't want to lose the weight. So I said, do you know why? No. She says, but I can't be bothered. She says, I don't think that much. And then she says, you know what? I saw a photo of me the other day. I am overweight, but I really can't be bothered. So we went back to straight run. So I said, okay, you're going to go through your house and you're going to pin Post-it notes all over your house. And wherever you have chance, you write on there a reason why it would be bad for you to lose weight. And so needless to say, the post-it notes were by the next session all empty.
Right.
Except one, and it said, it is too much effort.
Mm-hmm.
And so this reverse psychology there was, but it was triggering the whole week in her head. I don't really want to lose weight. Why would I want to lose weight? But I couldn't clearly come up with a reason, you know. It would be nice if I fit into the dress, but I really don't want to do it. So, you know, it's like a little wiggle worm.
Yeah.
And so me as a coach then, I were trying to ask, you know that yourself from your clients, to ask the right questions. And also because they're all then in my Pilates classes as well, or most of them, that I can say to them also, you know what, if you're a little bit overwhelmed, close your eyes and just do 4 roll downs or something like that. So I know how to bring them back into something which they left. We also all have realized by now that they had gotten so much better in Pilates and realized that they can do things which I never thought of.
Yeah.
And it's the loveliest example is a new client who she said, I can't do this. I'm far too big for that. That's only for slim people or something like this. And so she tried it out once. And the next time she wrote to me, I'm going to sign up because I miss it already. And that was so sweet. And now she says, if I missed it once in 1 week or so, then I have the feeling I'm missing something from me because it makes me feel good that I can move like that. And if I can teach people to love themselves, to fall in love with them again, it is not normal that you don't go out of the shower and close your eyes. I had a 30-year-old who closed her eyes because the shower was opposite, the mirror was opposite the shower.
Yeah.
And she just couldn't face seeing it. There was absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. Also, she was the perfect figure, how if society provides a perfect figure. But there was totally different reasons why she didn't like her figure. Yeah. So we had to also backtrack there and figure out where that was coming from. And a year later, I could actually say she started ultra running. Her marriage after 2 years, which she actually wanted to leave, is super and works brilliantly, and she loves herself, and that is amazing, isn't it? It's just amazing. And it's not about having the wonderful clothes on or a beautiful makeup or something. I guess when you come to my classes, you have comfortable clothes on, you have a mat, and if you don't have equipment, then you have wine bottles, bean tins, cushions, broomsticks, pots and pans. You can all use it. And that makes it fun, isn't it? Because it needs to be fun, because if it's not fun, you're not going to do it.
Right. Well, there is so much there that you said to unpack, first of all. I love that with Pilates, you can tailor it to people having different issues. Like you said, with you, it was the lower back pain, but for others, it might be the knee pain. It might be, their other joints. And that's all dependent on, your body and any trauma that you're hanging on to in your body and your past. Growing up, I did gymnastics my entire upbringing, except for the 1 year that, I had my son, my junior year of high school. So, but growing up, and I loved gymnastics, and I still do love gymnastics, but it's also a sport that's, like you said, it's very tough on your body. And so now, being in my mid 30s, it's like, I can tell that I have those gymnast problems, that lower back pain, things like that. You can tell that I beat my body up a little bit when I was younger. And so I love that with Pilates, you can tailor it, first of all. And I think that it's important for people to know that. Second of all, I want to touch on what you said there about how this ties into your relationships. When people are feeling a certain way physically, how that affects them mentally and emotionally. and how that manifests in our relationships when we're not our best self.
Yeah.
I think that is extremely powerful. It's one of the reasons that when I'm working with my private clients, we talk about self-care. One of the first things that we address is healthy self-esteem and self-care, because they are pillars of how we show up in our life in every single aspect, including our relationships. I mean, including our career, including our exercise. It's vital.
Yeah. And also what I teach my clients, that I'm not perfect. And because it's one of my pet hates when I go onto Instagram or something like this, and I see all those Pilates instructors, and I would say 95%, and they have their toddlers running around there, yet aren't they're in the latest gym outfit, skinny as heck, and every muscle where it should be, and so on, fully make-upped and so on. And I thought, they either have 3 helpers, or and a nanny and whatever and so on, or a husband who doesn't work and waits on them on hand and foot, because that was not in my life like that. And so I think somebody said to me the other day, I should actually brand my Pilates the imperfect Pilates, and I'm not going to do that because it could be taken wrongly. But it is really like this. Pilates doesn't have to be perfect. It is about your journey, and it is about the growth. And with the self-care and so on, I had to also realize that on the weekend, that I actually have to step there also a little bit back, that nobody dies if I don't attend a meeting.
Right.
That nobody feels left out because I made actually lunch for myself, because it is so much easier preaching others than doing it for yourself.
Right.
And I'm always straightforward and very honest with my clients. And sometimes I'm actually saying to them, okay, if you can't do it on your own, then we're going to do it together. We're going to track our food together. We're going to see what you're eating for lunch and what I'm eating for lunch, which puts me then into the same position. I kind of obviously say I had 3 Mars bars for lunch while you're eating chicken salad, right? Isn't it?
Right.
And so not
accountability.
It's really right. So I'm just one of them, and I just created what I call my Pilates family, where everybody is feeling accountable for it. Is that the right word? They're feeling that they belong, the feeling of belonging, not a number. I taught in South Africa in many gyms for many years, and I had sometimes 30 people in front of me. And as much as I enjoyed the vibe and the music and everything like that, but you cannot look after 30 people at the same time when you only have two eyes. It is just not possible. And so that was one of the reasons also that I can poke you through the screen.
Right.
And I have my big TV screen on, I have you on my laptop, and I have you on my iPad. So I can see you in 3 different ways. And I will poke and prod until you're doing it right. But I'm also not going to the extent where, unless you want to be a Pilates instructor in the high power levels, I don't have to tell you every 5 seconds 7 things you're doing wrong. And I will correct you when I know it's not good for you. But otherwise, it's okay if you do something not right, because it's your body, and sometimes things don't have to be according to Pilates. It has to just be right for you. Right. And that's what it is with life. It's in exactly the same way.
I agree. And I try to be very real with my audience that, okay, I am a relationship coach. That does not necessarily mean I have a perfect relationship. It doesn't exist. Okay. Don't think for 1 second that I don't have disagreements with my spouse. Don't think for one second that we always see eye to eye and we're the perfect, we have the same conversations that most other couples have. We have the same struggles that most other couples have. We are normal humans. I'm a normal human, even though I'm a relationship coach. So, and like you said, it's the same for all of us. This is a journey. And it's not like, okay, now that I've figured out how to have a good relationship, or now that I figured out how to do Pilates, like now I'm perfect. Now I'm great at it. Now everything is good. Life doesn't work like that. So
I think the Pilates and the relationships I think are very similar, because people are always asking me, is it never easier? I'm doing it for 3 years with you already, and it's still not easier. No, it won't get easier, because the challenges are always getting bigger. And even if you would theoretically do the same exercise for 3 years, you're getting more efficient, you're using more and more the right muscles. So by doing this, you're creating a bigger challenge for your body to follow the path. And I think that's exactly the same in the relationship. You're adding this to this, you're adding a child to it, you're adding a screaming baby to it, you're adding both of people are working, and it's not all coming at the same time. Right. Or we need to move or something like this. So it's never getting easier, but it's getting different.
Right. Because life is ever evolving. And so we are just learning how to continue to navigate it more naturally.
Yeah. We're growing, and that's why my tagline is like, from my lounge to your lounge, we go forward one stretch. We start in the now and we go forward one stretch at a time.
Yeah.
And I think you can put this onto anything. It's for life coaching like this. It's for relationship like that. It's just, that's what we do. We're stretching forward. We don't bother too much about the past. We just want to move forward.
Yes. Speaking of the past, would you mind just touching on that for me for a moment? How or do you find that people's past stuff, baggage, blocks from, relationships and just the struggles through life in general, do you find that they come up, and how they're connected to the Pilates, to what you do?
Yeah, I think very much so. So if you just, for example, if you put yourself onto a spinning bike, that comes easy, or you're going for a run, or you're doing something really, really deep physical, and you're just in the zone and in your thoughts. Have you ever discovered that emotional stuff comes up, and you feel actually very often quite teary, and so on, because what happened? You actually lost your wall. You lost your border. Mm-hmm. And I think in Pilates that is very, very, very similar, because you're relaxing into the surroundings and into the movement with your own body, and quite intimate, because you have to think about it, what you're doing. It's not like putting yourself into a race car and racing around a circle or something else. Yes, you also need to concentrate, but you don't really have to be in touch with your body to that extent. So mind and body and soul are not working too much together there. But if you're doing Pilates, or you're running, or you're doing something which is really, really just you and the exercise, then it is quite a deep thing. And I often say to my clients, close your eyes. And going through the exercise with closed eyes. I taught the other day a class with closed eyes, not me closed eyes, but with them with closed eyes. And not only did they figure out that they were totally out of balance, that they couldn't balance, which is normal because you can't fixate on anything.
Right.
But they also figured out that a lot of stuff came up because their senses weren't influenced by the outside. So they had to really concentrate. And it's quite amazing what your brain does with the little slideshows, which walking past from the past. And you think, where did that come from now? It's similar to meditating, actually,
Yeah.
then. And so, yes, I do think that that your past and your emotions and everything have a big thing, because I have often people after a Pilates class coming up. That's actually how I started the whole life coaching in the Pilates, because I in the one-on-one lessons, I tended to do life coaching all the time.
Yeah.
And you had to say, you know, we either do exercise now or we do life coaching, because otherwise we don't do either of it properly.
Right.
And so yes, I do think it's very, very deep connected.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm very open about the fact that I run a lot. Running has been very much a therapy for me. After not running for 15 years, I mean, probably since middle school, high school, it was suggested to me start running, and I did. And I will say during that 15-year span when I wasn't exercising, first of all, let me be very clear that my slender build is because I am a freak of nature. I have that extremely high metabolism. And so I was able to stay slender without exercising, but I was that skinny fat. You know, I was skinny, but I was not healthy. So when I started running, it was for my mental health. It was for my emotional health, rather than me even necessarily being focused on my physical health. But I also am very aware that running being a high impact sport, it might not be something that I can continue forever. And so it's good to know that other means that are out there that can assist in that movement, those endorphins, all of the things that exercise give you, and how it helps you really be the best version of yourself.
I think I need to just put something in there, because I don't want anybody to have the feeling that Pilates is something where we're moving slowly through our body and moving every minute another part and so on. And by the time we've done that, we are bored and fall into sleep. Pilates can give you everything from slow stretching, moving through the body. I had a class this afternoon with a lady who's a landscaper, and she'd done the whole afternoon nothing else but planting plants. I mean, I don't even have to be a landscaper. I know exactly what that does to my knees and my back.
Oh yeah.
So we done a stretch class. You always have to use your core in any case, but we also, I have some other classes where we do fitness Pilates, which means everything is getting up a notch quicker. It's going in a bit faster. You start sweating more, your heart rate goes up. We're getting into more lunges and squats and all sorts of things. And it's coming up to the point where you actually start sweating. And people always say to me, I didn't know you sweat in Pilates. And I thought, you are exercising? And so yes, you do sweat in Pilates in my Pilates classes, and there is such a thing even as fitness Pilates in the UK. You can actually, there is a company who offers courses for that. And but in general, yes, I offer everything. And honestly, we have a fitness Pilates done with my pressure cooker, and which made me recover. It was just as a funny thing how few people actually have big pots.
Yeah.
Stable big pots. I said, bring a big pot to the class so we can use it. We can use it as a step and going up and down with our hands and whatsoever, and a plank and so on. I'm not sure if it was an excuse, but half of the people didn't earn a big pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was just a funny thing. But no, you can. Pilates is definitely not something. I don't do boring because I get very quickly bored. Yep. And when I get bored, then I'm done. Then I lose interest.
Yeah.
So I need to change it up all the time. And so I think the best, I don't know if my daughter-in-law just wrote it to me. I find it for you. Just give me a minute. And it was actually probably the best, apart from maybe I don't find it now.
Well, and I just want to touch on for the audience and the people watching that, because I know when we're talking about exercise, that, like you said, there can be a lot of people that are resistant to that, which is a very normal response. Our brain is wired to go down the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And so things that seem difficult, or challenging, or even to the point of overwhelm, like, oh, I can't, lose 60 pounds or whatever it is. When we get to overwhelm, difficulty, challenges, our brain is wired to avoid.
Yeah.
And so that's very normal. And in order to do something to sort of get past that block, you have to put intention behind wanting to get past it.
Yeah.
Behind there's got to be a reason there. There's got to be a motivating factor there.
But often I had several clients coming into my classes already. And the best thing was one of the clients dumping into my class in South Africa still. And I made her put onto the Bosu ball, those round shaped, half shaped ones. And she says, "This is my first and my last Pilates class ever with you. I hate exercising." She lasted 3 years with me. And it was so much fun. We had so much fun and giggles and whatsoever and so on, because it doesn't have to be always perfect. It's like, if you do 7 and not 10, well, then you've done at least 7. You done. And I always say, if you work with your body and your strengths and where you are in the moment, you work just as hard as an Olympic athlete from where they are to where they want to go.
Yep.
It's the same effort you have to put in. You're just on different levels, but the effort is the same. So don't ever put yourself down.
Yep. It's important, because if you're doing that, you're creating those negative neural pathways.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to continue. It's not fun. It's more resistance. It's more, and again, I think that it's different for everyone. And I think that that's what I appreciate so much about you being here and sharing, that this is an alternative technique that people can explore and possibly utilize, that might be different from the things that they've tried that they know don't work or didn't work in the past. Yeah. So I appreciate that so much. So Christiane, where can people find more of you if they want to connect with you and just explore more of what it is that you do?
Okay, so I am on Facebook under my name. That's obviously my Facebook profile. Then I have a wonderful Facebook group, which the link is in the Facebook, in my bio on the Facebook profile. Actually, all my links are there also to my website and everything. I think what we discovered the other day, that my phone number wasn't on there, but my email address and everything is on there. I can also message all the links to it. And yes, I would love, and every first class is free. I always say you cannot try something, commit to something which you haven't tried out. So I would let you do a group class, and then just have fun. We laugh and giggle a lot, but we work hard.
I love that. Thank you so much for that, Give. And I hope that people take you up on that offer and,
Thank you.
Are ready to start exploring an alternative means to, processing their stuff, as well as movement, getting healthy, all of the good things. All right. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Kelly.